Sega has made and published some really weird games, but if we have to select a winner, then that award goes to the protagonist of this video. In the mid-90s, Sega released the Sega Saturn, which was a huge success in Japan, but in North America, the console sold extremely poorly compared to the PlayStation and Nintendo 64. Due to its success in Japan, over 1,000 games were released for the Saturn, but in the United States only around 250 games were released. More than half of the Saturn library is Japan exclusive. But among those few games that were released in America, one in particular has become quite infamous: Mr. Bones. What is Mr. Bones? Mr. Bones is a 2D platformer starring a skeleton character that does not look like a 2D platformer. Oh, of course, this is a Sega Saturn. It was the 90s, like the 3D was the big thing. Of course, this is a 3D platformer. That was so... no, I'm wrong again. This is actually a reading game? I mean, it makes sense. He was playing a guitar on the cover, and no, I'm wrong again. This is actually a flying simulator? Okay, I guess this is now a flying simulator. Oh, no, I got it wrong. This is actually a top-down shooter. I mean, of course, that makes sense. Oh, never mind. Disregard everything. This is actually an RPG. This might be the wrong game, actually. Hold on. Okay, back to the real game. I think I finally figured it out. Mr. Bones is actually stand-up comedy.
Why'd the cow cross the road to get to the other side?
What is this game? Mr. Bones is a game developed by the American studio Sono and published by Sega. Before Mr. Bones, Sono worked on the game Technoclash, published by Electronic Arts, and someone at Sega must have been impressed by Sono's work on Technoclash because they published not one but two of Sono's games, one of them being The Amazing Spider-Man Web of Fire and of course Mr. Bones. And just after Mr. Bones, Sono will move on to develop the game Freak Boy, published by Virgin Interactive. Without showing you any image of this game, what do you think this game is about? You're right, this is a puzzle game, and it was also cancelled. However, in 2020, the user Oliver Yu from the Obscure Gamers forum found a prototype of the game online, so now there's a playable demo of the game. But this is not a video about Freak Boy, this is a video about Mr. Bones, so let's get back on track. The mind behind Mr. Bones is Edward Ettore Annunziata, also known as Ed. He's the creator of Ecco the Dolphin and Mort the Chicken, the same chicken from Pixel Towers. The developers actually approached Ed to put the character in the game and Ed accepted. What a cool guy. There's not a lot of developer commentary for the development of Mr. Bones, however in 2021, Ed posted an Ask Me Anything on Twitter about Mr. Bones, where Ed revealed what inspired the concept of Mr. Bones. When I was a kid, I worked at a small animal hospital. On Sundays, I did treatments and cared for the animals alone. I had no choice but to enjoy the X-ray machine. I took many recreational X-rays of my skull and hands, with a middle finger. X-ray art. There was a school shot of my own school that smiled at me. I just love how bizarre the story behind the creation of the game is. It's such an odd fascination, but it's kind of charming as well. Mr. Bone is like Ed's inner child manifested into a game. But if there's something crazier than the origin of Mr. Bones, that has to be how the game was pitched to executives. One user asked Ed how was the pitching process for Mr. Bones, and he responded with the following. It was a great pitch, because I had an animation made of a skeleton singing Louis Armstrong, It's a Wonderful World. It came out great. After the video, I told executives, a game like this, and that was it. That is hilarious, but it also encapsulates what Mr. Bone is trying to portray. Fun. This game is all about having fun. There are some really weird things happening all throughout the game, but don't overthink it. Just accept it and vibe with it. But there's a limited amount of ways I can say that Mr. Bones is weird. I need to show you how weird this game is. So go get your snacks, because I'm going to go over every single level in this game to show you the insane experience that is Mr. Bones.
Bones, carrying a skeleton to
The game opens up with this incredible cutscene that combines computer-generated models alongside real-life actors. This is a staple of 90s games, trying to showcase realistic-looking graphics. And while it looks outdated compared to the graphics that we have nowadays, I find this style charming. It is clear that developers were having fun experimenting with all these new technologies. All the cutscenes in Mr. Bones were made by Endos Studios, which worked in the past with Ed for the Sega CD game Ecco the Tides of Time. And later, they would work with other big names in the industry like Nintendo, Capcom, and Rockstar Games. The latter acquired Endos Studio in 2002, which will result in Endos Studio rebranding their entire company to Rockstar San Diego. It's crazy that Mr. Bones is somehow related to the GTA franchise. Going back to the intro cutscene, the plot of the game is that a vampire has awakened an army of brainwashed skeletons to spread evil all over the world. However, one skeleton is not brainwashed, which is shown by the fact that he has blue eyes while all the other skeletons have red eyes, or as the vampire puts it,
You are an impurity. Hey, let's not get personal now.
So all the red eyes are now chasing Mr. Bones, which leads us to the first level of the game, Grapescape. You know, it's a word game for Grapescape. And the first level of the game is an overscroller where Mr. Bones have to escape the army of skeletons chasing him. Even though this is the first level of the game, I cannot help but to feel that it is quite hard. Now, the first level is just a straight line of you avoiding enemies and obstacles, and you just have to move to the right the entire time. But what makes it so difficult is the main gimmick of the game. Mr. Bones is a skeleton, and the skeletons are made of bones. What a shocker, I know. The gimmick of Mr. Bones is that whenever you take damage, a bone falls out of your body. And it also affects the way you move. When you have your legs, you can walk around and jump as normal. But whenever you lose your legs, then you're just bouncing. You can recover parts of your body by coming in touch with any of your parts laying around the stage and mashing the A button, which increases your skeletism level, as the game puts it. There are a few other mechanics, but I'll go over them later on. And the level is not that bad at first. It's just a group of enemies that occasionally throw a projectile at you. And it's not really that hard to avoid, but don't worry, I still got hit by them multiple times because I'm dumb. And the obstacles themselves are not that bad either. They're mainly trees that stop your movement and holes that you need to jump over or you will take some damage. The main issue is how long the level is. This level goes on for way too long. My successful attempt was about 3 minutes long, which might not sound too bad at first, but whenever you die in this game, you are thrown all the way back to the title screen. It is quite unforgiving. Now, fortunately, the game saves your progress whenever you beat a level, so you can always go back to the beginning of the levels that you were playing, but some of the levels truly overstay their welcome. On the first level, there was always a point where I received so much damage that I entered the bouncing stage, and at that point it was really difficult to recover my parts and to avoid the enemies and obstacles. But after a few failed attempts, I finally managed to beat the level. Alright, Mr. Bones is no joke. This game can get really difficult at times. But don't get me wrong, I don't say this as a negative. I actually like the difficulty of the game. Ed was asked why the difficulty level is so high, and his response was, "It's a game. Your involvement is not trivial." If you weren't taking Mr. Bones seriously before, this level is your wake-up call. The second level is the Mausoleum. In this level, there are two groups of skeletons hanging from the edges of a pillar. The skeletons will rise to the top of the pillar to attack you with different patterns. Your goal is to avoid them for a while until you get to the second phase of the level where you have to fight an army of skeletons face to face. This is another really straightforward level. Once you get the hands on the attacking patterns, it is not that bad, and this level introduces you to another important mechanic. If you have your arms, you can aim towards your enemies with the D-pad, and when you press the B button, you can shoot a laser at them. This level is nothing too complex. The main difficulty comes from knowing the attack patterns in the first phase of the level, but after that, it's really easy. However, now would be a good opportunity to say that this game does not have a tutorial that teaches you any of the mechanics that I have explained so far. Not that they are extremely difficult to understand, but the first time that I got to the second phase of this level, I didn't know you could attack enemies. I didn't need to use that during the first level at all. But to be fair, this is a game from a different era where tutorials were not that common and everything you needed to know about the game was in the manual. Does anyone remember game manuals? For the younger people in the audience, back in the day, whenever you bought a physical game, they will come with a book-like manual that explained things about the game, how they play, the story, the characters. It was really cool. Nowadays, if you buy a physical game, you will be lucky enough if you get the game instead of a download code. The third level is the Valley, and this is the first proper platforming level. No orange rollers, no major gimmicks, it's just a really straightforward platforming level that uses the mechanics of the game. And that's okay with me, this level is actually a lot of fun. After beating this level, we finally escape the cemetery, and Mr. Bones comes across a house in the middle of the forest. Mr. Bones is attracted by the sound of a guitar, so he enters a house and finds a blind person. And that blind person is not just any person. This is Ronnie Monroe's, one of the biggest stars in American rock history, and he had a huge participation in this game. The soundtrack was composed by Monroe's. Back in the 90s, it was not strange to see music stars composing music for games. We have Stuart Copeland composing music for Spyro the Dragon and Michael Jackson for Sonic. And the cutscene where Mr. Bones meets Monroe's is one of the best ones in the game. Monroe's invites Mr. Bones to play the guitar alongside him, but Mr. Bones struggles to get the hangs of it, so Monroe says the following:
"Don't think about it, just play it."
And then Mr. Bones and Monroe start throwing up a show. Unfortunately, things are not looking that good as the army of skeletons have found Mr. Bones and now they're surrounding the house.
How about that? One chord and I wigged him. Now y'all can't talk, but you can listen and maybe even feel.
The fourth level is Guitar Solo, and this level is the first major change of genre in Mr. Bones. So far, all levels has been a variation of 2D platformer, but all of a sudden, now it's a rhythm game. Sort of. The whole point of the level is to press buttons and they will trigger special animations depending on which button you press. If you press the button alongside the rhythm of the music, then you will recover a little bit of your health and a part of the crowd will move towards your side, which is indicated by the fact that their eyes will turn blue. The thing is that it's really hard to tell when to press the button. In my playthrough, I just press buttons randomly and that seemed to work. So either the level is extremely forgiving or I might be extremely lucky. While researching for this video, I found a guide on GameFAQs made by the user BPGAlways, and in their description of this level, they say that you need to press the correct buttons according to the rhythm of the music. But then they say that spamming A and then C is a good idea. So this level is not that strict with its mechanics, and it seems to be done on purpose as a way to incentivize improvisation. A user mentioned how they hit buttons off beat so they could keep playing this level and improvise with the mechanics. And Ed said that he did the same thing. He likes the idea of playing around with the mechanics of this level. That's a really cool philosophy for a rhythm-based level. The fifth level is Night of the Bats. The gimmick of this level is that a bunch of bats take away most of your bones and you start playing the level in the bouncing skeleton state. In this state, you cannot attack enemies, your movement is quite slow and bouncy, and your jump does not go too high. Your goal is to find your bones scattered around the stage and reach the goal. However, this level also introduces a new system. To beat certain levels, you need to have certain body parts attached to you. For example, in this level, you need your head, your upper torso, and only one of your arms. If you don't have the necessary body parts or you have any additional body parts, then you cannot beat the level. This is kinda annoying, mainly because if you have extra body parts, that means that you need to disassemble and assemble until you get the right combination. At least in this level, it's not that big of a deal because you have a wide platform right below the end of the level where you can throw all of your body parts. The 6th level is Dawn of the Bats. Hello, it's me from post-production. On this level, I forgot to remove my mouse pointer from the recording, and doing the editing, it became quite distracting. So I'm going to add a funny penguin over the pointer. It will be here for a couple of levels, so I hope you'll train him well. This level is extremely similar to the last one, but you start with more body parts. The platforming is a little bit more complex, because in this level you regain your legs. The main issue with this level is the ending section. As mentioned before, this level implements the system where you can only beat the level having a specific combination of body parts. In this case, you need your head, your upper and lower torso, only one of your legs, and only one of your arms. The thing is that first, you need to look up all the necessary body parts which are off track from the main path of the level. But not only that, if you collect any extra body parts, the ending platform it's really small, and if you try to disassemble, that can lead to some of your body parts falling out. And it's not like they will fall out if you disassemble right on the edge. On the footage, I did the disassembly as far from the edge as possible, and yet, because of how bouncy the physics are, some of the body parts fell down, which meant that I had to go down, get those parts, then do some platforming, and then pray that I had the right combination so I could exit the level. It was really annoying. The 7th level is Day of the Bats, and in case you haven't noticed, these 3 last levels are interconnected because it starts with the night, then it goes to the dawn, and now it goes to the day. They are quite slick for that one. The whole point of these levels is that you start with a few of your body parts, and as you keep progressing through these levels, you gain more and more of them. And by this level, you pretty much have all your body parts back. So this level is basically a straightforward platforming level. If anything, I will say that this level is quite long. By the end, it felt like a gauntlet with the amount of enemies and obstacles that I had to avoid. The 8th level is Rolling Logs. This level is another auto-scroller. This time we're skipping a bunch of 3 logs while going downhill. Compared to the last auto-scroller, this one is way easier, as the logs are quite slow and it's really easy to avoid them as there are no other obstacles to deal with. But the best part about this level is the music. The song choice is really interesting. You would expect something intense or fast-paced, but this song is relaxed. Just take a look at Crash Bandicoot. Chase levels on those games have this really intense feeling to it. You hear this song and you know that you have to run for your life. But in Mr. Bones, the sign that you need to run for your life is a country song, which is quite funny if you ask me. The 9th level is Drum Solo. This is another rhythm-based level. This time we're playing some sort of Simon Says game, in which we have 4 sets of drums and we have to play the correct drum depending on which drums turn red. In contrast to the last rhythm-based level, this time we have some visual cues to work with. There are 4 sets of chords in the ground with some energy balls traveling through them. They indicate which drum is going to turn red and how long we need to play that drum for. This level is definitely more challenging than the previous rhythm-based level. Towards the end, the timing to switch drums becomes shorter, and if you're not fast enough doing those switches, your health bar will deplete really fast. Needless to say, this is one of the hardest levels in the game, but it's also one of the most satisfying ones. Getting the timing right just feels so good. After beating the level, an portal opens up and Mr. Bones is transported to an unknown dimension that we're going to call the Drum Dimension. The 10th level is Last Shards. Hello, it's me once again from post-production. From now on, there are no more mouse pointers in the footage, so say goodbye to our penguin friend. He did a great job covering my recording mistakes. He deserves the award for Best Penguin. This level is one of the most bizarre ones in the game. Your goal is to go up, and just keep going up. Eventually, you will reach the goal. There are some flying enemies which are really annoying, but they're not that hard to avoid. What is so weird about this level is the ambience and the music. It is so psychedelic, and there is this voice in the background that keeps talking throughout the whole level. While playing throughout the level, I didn't pay that much attention to what the voice was saying, but after watching the footage, I tried to listen to it closely, and I would like you to listen to it.
The first thing for somebody to realize that wants to know what the blues is the first thing they got to realize is that everybody has it.
The speech was narrated by Pane, who was one of the most important artists for rock music, while the background music was composed by Ronnie Monroe's. This collaboration between Monroe's and Pane has become one of the most obscure songs in their discography, due to the fact that it was made for a video game and it was never part of a commercial album. Yet, it has also become one of their most praised songs. This song has such a unique aura to it. It feels ethereal and spiritual. When you listen to the speech, you keep hearing this term, the blues. It is this intangible force that is within all of us, that force that keeps us alive. You might think that I'm overthinking this, you might say that, come on, Mr. Bones is not that serious, and you know what, it's fair if you think that way. But if there was one song in this game that was made to leave an impact, it was definitely this one. In the Twitter thread, a user asked Ed if there was any meaning behind some of the more abstract levels in the game, and this is what he had to say about glass shards. The point was that every level be inspired. The glass shards are memories of all lives long gone. While the most persistent memories are usually the bad ones, they can still be used to ascend. That was beautiful Paul Pena, who rattled off what is the blues in one take. I just love this interpretation. The blues is this concept that goes beyond life, something that is shaped by our own memories and experiences. And this kind of philosophical concept is something that you will definitely not expect from Mr. Bones, but it's wonderful that it's here. I invite you to listen to the full song. It's filled with striking lines all the way through that might leave you thinking for a while. The 11th level is Big Bones. This is another experimental level. Here you don't control Mr. Bones directly, instead you control this white surface, while Mr. Bones bounces over this surface. You can move the surface both left and right, and you can play with the bouncing mechanics to move Mr. Bones around. Your goal is to bounce around the level to get your body parts back. This is my favorite level in the game. It's a lot of fun to play around with the physics. It feels like one of those paddle ball toys. And you know what this level reminds me of? And this is going to be extremely specific, but it reminds me of a minigame in Club Penguin where you need to bounce a puffle in the air using a ping pong paddle. Another thing I love about this level is that whenever you get a body part, you get this animation where the camera zooms out and it is revealed that the surface you're controlling is actually Mr. Bones' skull. And then it cycles back as it shows your body with the new body parts that you obtain on top of the head, and then you go back to the gameplay. It is such a cool visual effect. After beating the level, we get a cutscene where Mr. Bones gets attacked by a ghost lady. So Mr. Bones summons his guitar and uses the power of music to raise up the ghost lady.
What can you do on the moon? You can't even breathe on the moon. What can you do in this world? You can't even love in this world. You can't face the darkness, can't face the light. You can't even live in this world. You can't even love in this world.
After this, Mr. Bones convinces the ghost lady that he needs to escape the drum dimension. and she decides to help him out by opening a portal on the ground. The 12th level is Vortex. This level is like a 3D or stroller. Think something like the special stages in Sonic 2 but with less movement options. You can only move left and right in a circle, and when you move to either direction, it is as if you were pushing Mr. Bones against the vortex. Your goal is to avoid the red obstacles and regain all of your body parts. The main challenge is getting used to the physics. It's really hard to precisely position Mr. Bones. If you press the button too hard, then Mr. Bones will be pushed extremely fast, which can lead you to hitting an obstacle. But if you press the button too lightly, then you might not be able to avoid the obstacle in time. It's a really tricky level, but fortunately, it's also really short. Once you beat the level, Mr. Bones escapes the drum dimension and he falls into a river. We have reached the halfway point in the game, and so far we have seen a wide variety of genres, from platforming to rhythm game to some more experimental genres. It is quite shocking the amount of creativity and variety that this game has offered, and this is just the first half of the game. There's still more to uncover. The 13th level is Underwater Ride, and this is the worst level in the game. It's another 3D auto-scroller. This time we can actually move freely instead of just moving left and right. We control Mr. Bones as he goes against the wave in this underwater cave. The goal is to reach the end, and if we hit one of the walls, then we lose a portion of our health bar. In theory, this should be a really simple level, but in practice it's one of the hardest ones in the game. First, this level uses plane controls, meaning that if you press down, the character goes up and vice versa. This is the only level in the game that does this, and it's extremely distracting, but you can get used to it. The second issue is how tight the walls are. It's really hard to avoid them, and it doesn't help that the depth perception is quite tricky on this level. It makes it seem that you are farther away from upcoming walls than you actually are. This level is all about precise positioning, which is extremely hard to do. After beating the level, we see a cutscene of Mr. Bones being tied to the ground as he has been captured by goblins? Now, dear viewer, this is an extremely dangerous situation. I have seen the videos before of totally legit and real goblins caught on camera, and they're up to no good. Well, they look more like gnomes than goblins to me, but perhaps they are goblins disguised as gnomes. This might be one of the biggest mysteries in Mr. Bones' universe. Fortunately for Mr. Bones, goblins' biggest weakness are spiders, which the cave they're in is infected with, so Mr. Bones agrees to take care of the pest. The 14th level is Little People Village. This is another platforming level with a twist. This time we need to save the goblins from being captured by the spiders. Whenever a goblin is being attacked, the game is going to point us to the direction where that goblin is, and we need to cut the spider web before the spider leaves the screen. And this level ends once we save 20 goblins. Overall, this is one of the easiest levels in the game. However, what happens after we beat the level is amazing. The leader of the goblin thanks us for saving the village, and then the other goblins take our bones, and I kid you not, the game turns into a musical.
Bones, 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 bones. We're carrying a skeleton to an icy lake. We're carrying so carefully, he's never gonna break. Carrying a skeleton to an icy lake, and his name is Mr. Bones.
Just when you think that the game cannot get any weirder, they throw a musical number on it. And they were proud of that song because they reused it for the American commercials.
And his name is Mr. Bones. Bones.
Talking about commercials, the Japanese commercial is also really interesting. It shows this long take of a guy in his living room, and then we see this animation of Mr. Bones playing the guitar, followed by the headline, "This is cool." Well, yeah, that's definitely a way to market Mr. Bones. He is indeed really cool. The 15th level is Icy Lake, and this is the worst level in the game. This level is a 3D top-down platformer. On its own, that's a merit. This game has both 2D and 3D platforming on it. That is crazy. But this is also a case where the execution was not quite right. You see, this level is an ice level. That means that it has one of the most annoying tropes in any platforming game: ice physics. Whenever you move through ice, your movement will be slippery, making it hard to precisely position yourself. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, no puns intended. The main gimmick of this level is that there are multiple layers of ice. The main one is a stable layer where you can jump and move freely, but there's this dark layer of ice that you can only stay there for a while before it breaks, and if you fall into the water, you die. Alongside the dark ice, you're going to see these small chunks of ice sunk underwater. You can jump on top of those chunks of ice without the dark ice breaking apart. The entire level is built upon this mechanic, and as simple as this challenge might sound, it's easily one of, if not the hardest level in the game. To start, this level is extremely long. A successful run can take around 4 to 5 minutes, but remember, in this game, there is no checkpoint. If you die at any point during the level, you go back to the start. And with the whole challenge of the level designed around instant deaths, this is a level where you're going to die over and over and over and over and over and over. This is without a doubt one of the most frustrating levels in the game, but once you beat it, the worst comes to an end. There is no way that it gets any worse. Right? Right? The 16th level is From Beneath the Ice, and this level is... I know I have said this multiple times, but this time I'm being for real. This over here, this is the worst level in the game. This is another 3D platforming on ice, but this time the camera is set up from below the character instead of top down. Now the goal here is to outrun the ice that is breaking apart behind your character. The problem? They give you no room for error. One mistake and you're sent back to the title screen. This level is extremely unforgiving, but that's not even the worst part. The main issue with this level is that you can barely see ahead of what's coming, and that gives you almost no opportunity to move away from the obstacles. There is no strategy behind this, no skill involved. It's all about trial and error, and praying that the next run you won't hit a wall. Fortunately, this level is extremely short. A successful run lasts around 5 seconds, and it's so short that it makes me wonder, why did they even include this level in the first place? The 17th level is Shadow Monster. This level combines both 2D perspective and 3D platforming. That is really cool. This level is a boss battle where we need to hit 2 switches in the foreground to activate a button on the background, but there's a twist. You see, there are these shadow flames and monsters attacking Mr. Bones, but they do not attack him directly, they attack his shadow. This was something that took me an embarrassing amount of time to figure out, but it was really cool. This is a huge improvement over the last few levels, and I had a lot of fun with it. After beating the level, Mr. Bones enters a dungeon, and he faces one of the coolest things I have seen in a video game. A T-Rex skeleton. Probably it's just me that I have the mindset of a 5-year-old, but this is genius! More games should have dinosaur skeletons as enemies. The 18th level is Dry Meat. This is another boss battle, but this time the gameplay is fully 2D. This level is quite simple. The T-Rex is going to lower their head, and when they try to attack us, we need to jump over their head and hit the chains on the wall. It's a really simple pattern that took me a while to fully learn, especially because on later stages of the boss battle, these rocks will fall, which are really tricky to avoid. But once I got it, it was really easy and a lot of fun. After breaking the chains, the T-Rex apologizes for their aggressive behavior, and they offer us a ride to the evil sorcerer's castle. And then the T-Rex changes their skeletal system to become a pterodactyl, a completely different species of dinosaur. Not going to question the logic, let's just assume that that is something that dinosaurs can do. The 19th level is Hall of Pane. This level is an on-rail flight level and it has some majestic music, just listen to it. You will expect this sound from a JRPG in a final dungeon before facing God. Now, this level is quite interesting. You move around by tilting Mr. Bones. The goal is to avoid obstacles and reach the end. However, this level is divided by hallways. At the end of each hallway, there are these crystal panels that you need to go through. Whenever you do that, you lose a portion of your health bar. There's no workaround. You will always take damage. The thing is that throughout the hallways, you're going to find some blue orbs that you can collect to recover some portion of your health bar. The lava loop is basically collecting these orbs to have enough health to tank the damage from the crystal panels. Now, this level starts really easy, but as you keep going, it will be harder to manage your health bar. I quite like the idea of your health bar now being a resource that you have to manage, but the tilting mechanics make it hard to precisely position Mr. Bones. And there are a lot of tight spaces where you need to precisely position the character in a way where you can obtain as much orbs as possible and not take damage in the process. And as you keep going in this level, you will be in a position where the obstacles themselves are not really the issue, but the fact that you couldn't get enough orbs to tank the hit from the crystal panels. After beating the level, Mr. Bones infiltrates the castle and he is hit by a laser beam that takes away his soul. I think? How does this work? The 20th level is a Skeletism Generator. This level is a top-down shooter. You can move freely and shoot enemies forward. However, your character will keep spinning around, so the direction that you shoot depends on where your character is facing. This is the easiest level in the game, just keep shooting and avoiding the plasma beams and you should be done with this level in less than a minute. After beating the level, Mr. Bones escapes the beam machine and now he finds himself in a room full of skeletons. This reminds me of that scene from Toy Story 2 with all the Buzz Lightyears on the store shelves. However, in the hallway there's also a mechanical skeleton ready to stop Mr. Bones, so now we have to face it. The 21st level is Funny Bones. This level is another boss battle, but this one is a joke-off battle. You need to tell a joke in the correct order to progress the battle. You know what they say, laughter is a powerful weapon for it carries the light. To laugh is to defy darkness. Isabel Carmody. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't read any of Carmody's novels, I just found this quote on Instagram. Now, the way this level works is that each of your bottoms represent a part of the joke, and you need to press the bottoms in the correct order. Now, there are different jokes for each phase of the battle, and they have different bottom patterns. And there is absolutely nothing in the game that tells you which bottoms are which part of the joke. So it's just a matter of trial and error until you get the sequence correctly. But the best part about this level is Mr. Bones jokes. We need to talk about that. Let's make a tier list of stand-up comedians, and let's see where Mr. Bones stands on this tier list.
What's green and sings? Elvis Parsley.
I would probably put Mr. Bones around here.
What do you call a fly buzzing inside a zombie's head? A space invader.
Alright, I'll lower him one tier.
I went to the doctor for a checkup. It was okay. He was there.
After beating the level, Mr. Bones finally meets with the evil sorceress face to face. We're finally here. The final confrontation. Mr. Bones versus the evil and then Mr. Bones falls for a trap. But the ghost lady gives Mr. Bones his guitar bag and now Mr. Bones is ready for the final showdown. The last level of the game, Lost Ends. This level is another rhythm based one. It's similar to the drums level where we need to play some sort of Simon Says game, but now there are going to be beans coming from 4 directions and we need to face the direction where the bean is coming from and block it. However, we can only block the beans once. After that, Mr. Bones' guitar will be charged, and if we press the A button, then we're going to shoot a laser. The goal is to shoot the laser all throughout the red light surrounding us. It's quite a tricky level at first, but once you learn the pattern, it is really easy. For a final boss confrontation feels quite lacking. I think the other boss encounters were more fun and engaging, but this one is still really cool and fun, and the guitar solo is amazing, just listen to it. After the boss battle, the evil sorcerer gets mad, but it's now daytime, and you know, sunlight is vampire's biggest weakness, so Mr. Bones tries to warn him, but the sorcerer doesn't pay attention and dies. That was easy. The game ends with Mr. Bones playing the drums to go back to the drum dimension and stay with the ghost lady. So that was Mr. Bones, a bizarre and one in a million experience. Now, what do I think about Mr. Bones as a game? Is it a forgotten and underrated masterpiece that deserves the attention of every gamer? No. But it's still one of the most interesting games that I have ever played. Mr. Bones is a relic of its era, a time where new technologies were being explored by game developers and they were experimenting with these technologies to see what worked and what didn't. Mr. Bones is a result of this mindset. There's a lot of diversity in the gameplay. At one point you're playing a platformer, then you're playing a rhythm game, then you're playing a shooter. It's so many things at once, and it's commendable the amount of effort and love that was put into making these ideas come to life. Not every level is perfect. This game has a lot of rough edges. But there are not a lot of games out there with as much variety and identity as Mr. Bones. For that reason, I believe that this game is a classic. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's a game that deserves a second chance. And do not even think of buying this game online. It is quite expensive. I would love a port of the original game or a remake that fixes those rough edges. Anything. I will take anything Mr. Bones related. And yes, Mr. Bones is a flawed game, but it is also a game that has a lot of creative ideas under its skin. Alright, I'll put myself down there. Hey, it's been a while. Thanks for making it this far into the video. I would like to give a quick shout out to my friend Ruben. He was the one who introduced me to this game, and without him, this video wouldn't have been possible. This video has been one of the most challenging ones that I have made. I experimented with a lot of different styles, and as such, I would like to hear your feedback. Please leave a comment down below with your opinion about the video, the topic, what was your favorite moment from the video, anything. Any feedback is valuable and it helps me improve the quality of my videos. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. That motivates me to keep making more content in the future. Once again, thank you for watching the video, and until next time, bye bye!